Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Pompey Talk. I'm Pepe, Lacey, and today I'm joined by Pompey writer Jordan Cross. Jordy, there's a lot to talk about. The games are coming thick and fast for Pompey. We've only just got over the Easter weekend, and now we're already turning our attentions to Middlesbrough. This running is relentless. It's what we all want to see, though.
Yeah, another day of a long day, isn't it? Longest trip of the season, but just you're already starting to do the permutations, thinking about the other fixtures, looking at the game tonight with West Brom playing this evening, and working out where it can go. And it's the business time, isn't it? It's business end of the season where you get down to these moments now, and I'd love to be kind of. I like the fans sort of, tucked in mid-table obscurity, kind of thinking it's boring for them. I'll tell you what, I'd rather be there than where Pompey are at the moment, where we're kind of just looking to find a way. That said, without the wins coming, which is a real big frustration because the performances have been there for a while now, outside of that QPR debacle. But first half, pretty poor, that said, at Norwich. Second half, better. And Monday, I thought Pompey were set fair. First 20 minutes, I thought they were in a really good place. Started really well, front-footed. And obviously the game swung on that disputed decision. And then it then kind of swung again on that disputed decision in the second half, where it would have made it, whatever you talk about the Connory Ogilvie, we'll talk about that in a minute, that decision. I don't think there was any room for debate about the Brodie Spencer not being sent off. And again, it just felt, and John Messino said this when we spoke off the record on Wednesday, he just felt that Pompey would have got there and got a second goal, got a goal, got a winner. Obviously not conceding in that last 20 minutes against 10v10, given that Pompey was set up in that format for such a long period for 70 plus minutes, and Oxford would have needed to readjust. So and I'm inclined to agree you would have found a way. But obviously lifted by to a degree, and lifted, let's face it, as I say, looking around elsewhere, John would have been sat in his office watching events at Hillsborough as the day went on, and watching things go there, twist there with the Leicester game, and it's a bit like that now. But here we go, and longest trip of the season. It feels like a tough one, but that said, that's when Pompey fans are looking at it through their prism. But if you look at it through the Middlesbrough prism, they're winless in 5 and winless in 5 at home as well. With some real concern there. So that kind of frames this weekend in terms of how Pompey can they go there. I didn't feel. I'm an optimist, and I didn't feel that optimistic going into this one. But that said, if they can get through that first half an hour without conceding, then I could see it really kind of making things a bit uncomfortable for Borough.
Well, I was just looking at the results. The last 8 Pompey haven't won. If you look at it purely on results, not good enough. But Pompey's still above the relegation zone. And then, like you just touched on it, that first 20 minutes against Oxford, they were brilliant, weren't they? And then obviously the red card did change it. But that's the frustrating thing at the moment. The performances are there. We're not looking at it like it's a real negative at the moment, other than QPR. The performances are there. It's just not really translating into wins.
Yeah, you can look at that both ways, can't you? In terms of what's been a problem going forward for a long time this season, and not converting chances into goals, which is not great. But would you rather be there or in a position where you're looking at Pompey and saying they're palpably not good enough, which you have done for quite a fair while in their time in the Championship? You think back to most of the away games last season, where it was basically so reliant on Fratton Park, wasn't it? And games where you were going away to places like Stoke and being blown away, and not even looking like you're in the game. So it's not the case at the moment. And then they need people to step up. And I do think they're having people step up, actually, because the wingers were two standouts for me on Monday. I thought Caballero has often disappointed for me in his Pompey stay. I think he was excellent against Millwall. I think his form has broadly dropped off since then. But back-to-back decent performances for him. And Kessie Anderson in the, Milenic Alley, it felt like almost so much was hinging on him. That it was almost like survival was on his shoulders because he was filling Josh Murphy's boots and started at such a high level that when that drop off came, it felt like Pompey couldn't sustain another player like at the levels that he dropped off to, given where he was. So with that said, Kessie Anderson coming in and doing what he did and just giving the opportunity to mix things up a bit is big. Is big. So, and let's not underestimate Andre Dazelle coming back as well. Coming back, but also getting 90 minutes under his belt, which suggests that he's coming back sharp and in a good place. I suppose when you have an ankle injury, I guess there's a bit more you can do in terms of your fitness and being a naturally fit lad compared to say Josh Knight, who had a stress fracture, was totally immobilised. So we've seen Andre come back at a really good level, and that was really important. We saw that. No disrespect to Luke LaRue, I think that was about as good as you're going to get from Luke LaRue at Norwich. But it was an immediate step up when Andre replaced him and continued on Monday with Ibu Adams. We all know his importance to come back as well. I know there was some John talking about the hope that he would have been back for Borough. That's not going to be the case now. So for those, for factors like that, there are reasons for cautious optimism.
One player who we still don't know whether he will be at the Riverside Stadium on Saturday or not is Conor Ogilvie. Just your thoughts on the red card for starters. And then, obviously, as the week's gone on, Pompey have appealed. Still nothing yet. What's your take on the situation currently?
Okay, well, I'll go back to Monday and the decision briefly because we've covered it in great detail. In my first reading of it, I thought it was, I called it a terrible decision. Having seen a grainy replay in the press box, I thought that was a justified stance. Having looked at it, if you've played football, you know that he's not going in to do the lad. And I don't, for me, see that as serious foul play. I don't see it hitting the threshold required for serious foul play in terms of it being excessive or brutal, the challenge. I do think it was reckless, which is a cautionable offence. That said, I can see like the argument for going either way on it, but I don't think it was a red ultimately, even on reflection. For that, I can see the arguments though, and I can see why the refereeing fraternity have come out so strongly. If you're from that part of the game, it seems like everyone is saying definite red card to the letter of the law. Scissor action, which by the way is not mandated as a red card. Talking about the scissor action, that's not an automatic red card. And we look at the kind of, it wasn't a scissor action in the times of we think of scissor actions going in waist high and being potentially for really a real bad injury creator. It wasn't like that, and I thought he kind of almost jumped out of it in a way in terms of the way he spun around and tried to come out with the ball. Anyway, I digress. Don't get me set off on that one. That said, understand the appeal. We stand here at the moment. I dare say Pompey know the outcome. The FA in these circumstances, I've spoken to the FA. They will suggest that you contact the club. The club will probably want to keep their counsel on it. They probably won't want to give away too much in terms of whether it's successful, just to keep people guessing, perhaps. That may well be a factor. That said, you've seen in most cases the appeal, when it's successful, the FA do confirm that the appeal's been successful, and not when the other way around. As it stands at this moment, there's been no confirmation from the FA on that, so you can draw your own conclusions, perhaps. I still wouldn't totally written off hearing back from the FA as we sit here at 1:30 at the moment. I'd have a duty to put it out. I'm not sure if I'd want to, really, if Pompey were trying to keep it quiet, if I'm perfectly honest. You're saying that as a journalist, but ultimately I'd have to. I'd be surprised if we saw Conor Ogilvie at the Riverside, though.
Yeah. Let's look ahead then. Obviously, tough trip to Middlesbrough tomorrow. You look at it on paper, they're in the playoffs, they're pushing for promotion. They as recently as last week. But their results have sort of dropped away slightly. Would you say it's now a good time to go there? Is there a good time to go to the Riverside Stadium?
Yeah, I mean, as good a time as they could be. But yeah, you've hit the nail on the head in terms of the challenge of going to a promotion chaser. And of course, we've got the top three to play this season in the 6 remaining games. So yeah, it probably is about as good in terms of what I said about can they kind of ask the question of Middlesbrough in that first period and make it uncomfortable for them, keep it tight and not concede, get the angst to grow on the home support. That said, I've kind of we're still carrying some sort of recent memories of away games, aren't we? Where we've capitulated in similar circumstances. Yeah. So if that goal comes, then you're worried about that being the case. I'm not sure what Hayden Hackney's situation is as we stand at the moment. I don't know. I
believe that it's hit or miss, really. I did an injury story earlier in the week, and there's a chance he could play. I don't think he will, though. The story didn't specify there. He could be back. The one player that could be back is Matt Targett, I believe, former Southampton defender, Matt Targett.
Well, that's right. Then get him out there and give him a good old scumming.
Yeah, but yeah, in terms of injuries for Middlesbrough, you look at Morgan Whittaker. He's meant to be out as well. Hayden Hackney, former Pompey loanee, Sammy Silvera as well. The three of them missing. All played key parts.
Hackney and Whittaker are the two, aren't they?
Yeah,
really,
they're the main ones.
Main supply of goals, and for I think what John Messino believes, and he said it kind of a while ago, and you hear it a lot more now that he's the best player in the division. Yeah. I think one way or another he's to be playing Premier League football next season, Hayden Hackney. So that's a good, but smoke and mirrors, isn't it? Do they that time of year? You wouldn't be surprised to see him rolled out though. It just from Pompey's point of view, I'll be honest with you. I'm uncomfortable with Jojo Dia in a back four. Both of his starts for Pompey so far have created hesitancy around him. That said, it weren't back-to-back terrible performances that in the whole. There were positives in his display. I just think he breathes too much uncertainty.
Does Shaughnessy come in then? Because obviously he played Monday.
Yeah, I think he could do. I've gone for my predicted lineup of Dia being the starter. I don't think Shaughnessy does tomorrow and Tuesday. Yeah, I don't see that, given how things stand. I know he's saying he's ready now almost to go do this on a Saturday, Tuesday. I don't think it's quite. I've got another Saturday, Tuesday coming up. Maybe another week down the line that might have been more likely or further down the line into those games when we go to Coventry as well. So I don't see Shocks playing that one. I'll put him as one of my two changes, with Jordan Williams being in for Ogilvie being the other. And I just think that given that, if Ibu Adams could have been rolled out as well, that would have been big. That would have been given everyone a massive lift. We've reported now that John Messina was half hoping for him to be back for Middlesbrough. I know the eagle-eyed sort of viewers of Pompey videos and presser videos noted that he said when he was speaking about when Ibu would be back, he said Leicester, and then in another part of the interview said Middlesbrough, let it slip slightly. He was hoping for that to be the case. Ultimately, I think he said they and ahed about it and not quite ready. So that is not genuinely. You won't see Ibu Adams tomorrow. I don't think for all the Messino shenanigans, I don't think we'll be seeing Ibu Adams. That said, Dazal is a positive, as I say, but Marlon Paku has been excellent. He's just churning the games out, though, isn't it? I think it would just be his 11th on the bounce now at 30. Yeah, 30. Whoa! I mean, incredible effort from the skipper. Level of performance in that time, a testament to not just his quality but his conditioning and how he's looked after himself at 35. Leadership, set standards. Performance has been great. Obviously it's a big ask for him to keep back to back in these games out at the moment. So that's hard. But that said, Kessie Anderson, as I say, Connor Chaplin would be fresh if he was to continue. I've been a big advocate of using Swift after in the 10 position, but that's not been the case really. Certainly not in the last sort of. Ibu Adams is a 10 at QPR and whatnot. But he will be fresh, having been sacrificed on Monday as well. So there's positives in that. It's just a big half an hour, isn't it? Yeah. You can go there and ask the question for half an hour, then you give yourself a chance.
Just as we wrap it up, then a lot of talk of obviously the survival battle, the relegation picture. Pompey still sit 1 point above the relegation zone and have a game in hand on their rivals as well. It's not all doom and gloom, is it? If you were Oxford and Leicester, you'd want to be in Pompey's position, wouldn't you?
Ultimately, as we sit here and look at the league table, of course, Pompey have got, they're a point better off. and they've got the game in hand. So yes, Leicester and Oxford want to be in Pompey's position. Absolutely no doubt about it. But what you've got to look at, Pep, as well, are you looking like being a survivor? Are you showing the qualities that are going to get you out of trouble? I think Pompey, the form isn't showing it, but they are showing the signs that perhaps the likes of Leicester, who are what they now 1 win in 14, they're in a terrible, terrible state. And you have to ask the question about who's going to be at Leicester next season. Do they fancy that fight? We've said it before, and it's being borne out at the moment. Oxford had that triple 3 wins in quick succession, but now they've kind of gone on a difficult winless run, I think, of 4 games now. So you're looking to... I can see it. People will look at kind of how is it 2 from 3 now? Is it 2 from 5? It's obvious to look at Portsmouth, Leicester, and Oxford as 2 from 3. I still think it's 2 from 5. I think that may change. It could change this weekend. Now I'll explain why. When you've got West Brom facing Millwall this evening in the Friday game, they could get themselves to 48 points. They're scratching their way around there. Blackburn are on 47 now. They look like they could probably be maybe a win away from doing it. But Blackburn go to Stoke this weekend. If they don't get that win there, they then go to Southampton, and then they've got Coventry. That then takes them into their final 2 games of the season. So if they don't get that win this weekend at Stoke, which is probably one of their best chances to do so, do they then have a really tough start looking at things if the result doesn't go their way? If they're not over the line by Saturday tea time, how does it start looking for them? So I wouldn't completely write them off. West Brom as well. I mean, as much as they're scratching their way to a couple of results here and there, it can spin very quickly for them. As I say, Millwall, then they go to Preston. Yeah, I think their game at Watford at home for them is a massive game after that, because then they've got Ipswich. So it is still, for me, it is still 2 from 5 at the moment. I just think, as I say, it could change this weekend. But if it doesn't, it's that squeaky bum time, Pepe, isn't it? The old purple might start going.
I know. At least the key thing is really for Pompey, they've got that game in hand. I know it's against Ipswich, but it's another game at home. I know Fratton Park's been a bit difficult this season. They haven't got as many wins as they did last year, but it's a crucial game at home. And then you look beyond Middlesbrough and Ipswich, Coventry might have already got promotion by the time Pompey travel there in a week and a half. Leicester, that's a huge game. Stoke will be probably on the beach by the time Pompey travel there in 2 weeks' time. And then you look at Birmingham, out of sorts, out of form on the final day of the season. If the picture's still as it is, Fratton will be rocking. So that's another advantage they can have.
It's going to the wire. This season, this relegation battle is going to go to the final day. There's absolutely no doubt about that for me. Pompey have to beat Leicester. They have to get that win at home. Then they probably need to get a couple of other wins from somewhere, maybe scratch out a draw from somewhere. Now, where do those results come from? You look to that trio of final games. Coventry, hopefully done and dusted by then, and then Stoke and Birmingham. They're the ones that are going to probably define it for Pompey, given, Middlesbrough this weekend, anything's a bonus, and then the Ipswich game. They could do it. You know what Pompey are like. They could Fratton under the lights on Tuesday. Ipswich would be feeling hard done by about the games getting postponed. They still feel a bit peeved about that, don't they? It's not inconceivable. But Pompey need a trio of wins and maybe another point from somewhere. And I just think there's going to be a few twists and turns along the way. Yeah, it's elsewhere. You see it, even like teams that have got to go to like West Brom having to go to Sheffield Wednesday on the final day. You think, okay, well that looks like a good on paper easy result for West Brom. It won't be like that. West Brom will be Sheffield Wednesday will be signed off in the division. They'll be defiant. They might have had some good ownership news. You never know.
Last week as well, they got a point against Leicester at home.
Exactly. So they're going to be no mugs there as well. Yeah, and you just for that reason, I want not just for Blackburn to be another team that's in it, but you just want to keep Blackburn in it, hopefully to the final day, because obviously Leicester then go there, don't they? So if Leicester don't get that result, and we haven't really touched about this, they've got a winnable home game against Swansea, but they're out of form. Then they've got Pompey, Hull at home, Millwall at home, Blackburn away. So once they get that kind of Swansea game, which is supposed to be one of their on the beach teams, out of the way, it's difficult for Leicester as well. Twists and turns to come, mate. Yeah, you watch.
Here we go. It's exciting stuff. Geordie, thank you for joining me on today's episode.